Taking care of five children at once can be very tough for anyone, irrespective of how well prepared one might be. 27 years ago, this woman adopted five girls into her home. What they did for her many years later left her in complete shock. Born into a family of three in Montana, USA, Emily lived happily with her parents. Being an only child meant that she never really had to struggle for anything, as her parents made sure she had everything she wanted. By the age of 20, Emily had already graduated from college, and because she graduated at the top of her class, she got a well-paying job in a short space of time. Emily excelled in her career, and everyone could see that she was destined for the top. Within her first 18 months, she had already been promoted twice and even received some interesting offers from her company's biggest competitors. Emily's next goal was to start a family. She had always pictured herself having a large family because she was quite fond of children. Sadly, things didn't work out as she had hoped. Relationships were the only field where she didn't excel. As the years went by, her parents became more worried that she wasn't married yet. They weren't getting any younger, and they wanted to see their grandchildren at some point. Emily considered lowering her expectations and settling for almost anyone who came her way, but she realized that if she did, she would be subjecting herself to a lifetime of unhappiness. When Emily was 40, she got tired of waiting for the right man to settle down with. She had given her all in several relationships, but ended up getting hurt every single time. Moreover, her chances of having biological children were already quite slim because of her age. Rather than continuing to search for the man who could sweep her off her feet, she decided to go for adoption instead. This way, she could still achieve her dream of being a mom despite not having a partner. From her mid-20s, she had always thought about adopting children from another country. Now that she couldn't get married, she was happy to embrace kids who were not biologically hers. However, before she filed for adoption, the American woman went through adequate training to become a foster mom. It took her 12 months to complete the training, after which she applied to adopt a child from Vietnam. Unfortunately, a few weeks before traveling to complete the process, the United States suspended adoption from that country. It took several months before she heard back from any agency. Instead, her next opportunity to adopt a child came when she least expected it. It was a Friday evening in December. Emily had just returned from work, exhausted, and she didn't even have the strength to prepare dinner. Instead, she went to bed immediately. In the middle of the night, the buzzing sound of her phone woke her up. It was a phone call from an unknown number. Who could this be, and why is someone calling at this time of the night? She thought. She was afraid something was wrong with her parents or friends and scrambled to answer right away. What she never knew was that this phone call would change her entire life forever. There was a call from a social worker from another city. "Hello, who am I speaking with?" She asked with uncertainty in her voice. The woman replied, "Hi, Emily. My name is Laura Smith. I'm a child care social worker from New York. You applied for adoption in an orphanage here. Well, we currently have 5 little girls who need emergency foster care. We would normally not give 5 children to someone who has never had to fend for a child, but the girls cannot be separated, and we would be here to offer any assistance you need to ease your transition. So are you willing to take them in?" The woman asked politely. Having kids was what Emily had always wanted, but she never imagined being blessed with 5 children all at once. She wasn't sure she would be able to handle it either, but she had waited so long and didn't want to turn down this opportunity. After a short while, she gave the social worker a reply. She told the woman she would be more than glad to welcome the quintuplets into her home. Emily could not go back to sleep after she ended the call. All she could think about was that she would finally become a mother. When she shared the news with her parents, they were also delighted that they would be having grandchildren soon. 6 months went by, and it was time for Emily to bring her adopted girls into her home. She traveled to New York to pick up the girls. As soon as she saw them in the orphanage, she immediately fell in love with them. They looked so adorable, and in an instant, Emily knew she had made the right decision. But she also kept wondering, how did such beautiful children end up in an orphanage? Just then, the employee who took her to the baby girls told their story. Emily was told their birth mom had abandoned them because she couldn't cater to them as a single mom. Emily was almost in tears after hearing their awful story. She couldn't imagine how tough life must have been for them. After getting all the documents sorted out, she flew back to her city with her daughters. At home, Emily made sure that the little girls, Anna, Grace, Ella, Sophia, and Natalie, lacked nothing. It didn't take long before they adapted to their new surroundings. From the day the pretty quintuplets came into her life, she became a happier woman. Although she hired a nanny to look after them, Emily also reduced her working hours so she could spend more time with her girls. During the weekends, she took them out to different places. One day, her curious friends asked her why she took in 5 girls all at once. She only smiled at them and said, "There's no way I can explain it, but I'm glad I have them as my daughters. They have given me so much joy, more than I could imagine, and I want to give them the best out of life." When the girls were 4, she enrolled them in one of the best schools in the city. Every morning, she dropped them at school before driving down to work. She would leave her office as soon as possible to go back to them, but still felt she was missing too much time with them. A few years later, she decided to be closer to her daughters. So she resigned from her job and started working from home. Several years went by, and the girls grew up knowing Emily as their biological mother. It was not until they completed high school that they discovered the truth. One evening, after having dinner, Emily told them she had something important to say. "I'm glad that you've all grown up so well. For many years, I have been waiting for the right moment to tell you all this, and I think that day is finally here. I am not your birth mom. I found you in an orphanage many years back and took you all in as my daughters. This is surely a big surprise for all of you, but I want you to know that this has never mattered to me." After hearing those words, the five sisters were speechless for a while. All of a sudden, they ran toward her and embraced her in tears. They thanked her for all she had done for them. But what they did years later really surprised her. After her girls were done with their college education, they all got jobs in no time. One snowy evening, the five young women reflected on how far they had come. It had taken them 27 years to get where they were. Deep within, they realized their lives wouldn't have taken such a remarkable turn if not for their foster mom. So they decided to repay her. Emily had always wanted to have a big grocery store for when she could no longer work. That way, she wouldn't have to stay at home every day. Amazingly, her beautiful daughters got her not one but 3 grocery stores. But that wasn't all. They also bought her an enormous mansion. And because their mother had always been interested in charity work, they also set up an NGO in her name. In the end, Emily's decision to adopt the girls not only brought her so much happiness, but also helped her achieve some of her lifelong dreams. What have you learned from this remarkable story? Would you ever adopt 5 kids at once? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.